Ricardo often used this example of 100 unevenly productive acres of land as a way to demonstrate why different parcels of land within that 100 acres might charge a different rent or sell at a different price per acre. For example, if your 100 acres have a nice creek or something going through it, the lowlands around that creek probably have the most fertile soil of all your land, and are the easiest to irrigate since they have the best access to water. If you're farming on this land, that's where you're going to start, but at some point, you have to move further away from the water, maybe into less fertile soil and just generally into less favorable conditions in order to keep getting anything more out of your land. And at a certain point, what's left is so hard to use that getting anything out of it at all would mean doing much harder work to change the land itself, bringing in fertile soil and removing rocks and clay and other obstacles. And I see a parallel between how one farmer might use their 100 acres of land and how humanity has used the resources of our planet to develop economically. We started with agriculture, taking the plants and animals we found around us and growing and raising them as best we could, moving beyond the hunting and gathering of our even more distant ancestors to take more control over our livelihoods. And in doing that, we started creating and enhancing all kinds of tools and weapons that improved our agriculture and self-defense. We made plows and swords and shovels and wheels. We built irrigation systems and aqueducts to move water into farmable lands. And we built boats and nets and hooks so we could go out into the water and fish the lakes and seas and oceans. Then we started industrializing, making more advanced equipment to enhance agriculture, like tractors, and building factories that could turn things like cotton into yarn and shirts and socks and coats much faster than anyone could do by hand. And machines beget machines. The more we produced and the further we needed to move it, the more we needed mass long-distance transportation, like trains, trucks, ships, and planes. And we already touched on communication. When you mine coal in one place and burn it in another, you need clear lines of communication between the source and the destination. And everywhere there's growth in a capitalist economy, there's profits, which need somewhere to go. Sometimes they're reinvested in the same industry that they came from when there's still growing to be done. They often get channeled out into other growing industries where profit rates and potential growth are even higher. But eventually we reach a point where we're surrounded by appliances and gadgets that solve a myriad of our problems, real and sometimes imagined, and everyone who can afford these things has them already. We're saturated with stuff, and the rest of the questions left to be answered are much bigger than buying a machine to wash your clothes or dishes. And when we reach that point where the questions still on our plate can't be answered by merely consuming more things as individuals, capitalism gets stuck in the mud. This is why we've entered into an era of planned obsolescence, scams, bubbles, and above all else, slowing growth.